Woo, hello, hello, hello. I I don't even know nothing about how that ended up being on time lapse, but I told y'all a whole story, and I can't even do nothing with it. But anyway, here we go again. Here we go again. Hello, hello. Story time, story time. Story time is about my adventures at the Island Center. It's what it was popularly called, Glen Island Center in Tarrant, Alabama. We dealt with the care and general welfare of people who were severely and profoundly disabled mentally. Okay, say it like that because in the title back in the day it was a word that we don't use anymore. Okay, so this is about the little short man. Remember the little short hairy man that I was telling y'all about, the client? And you know, we had that run in the shower, and he got mad at me because of my reaction of him. But anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. So this is my second interaction with this man. I was working with a man, a male client. I mean, not male client, male staff member. His name was Dennis Fluker. I would love to know what Dennis is at this time. He was cool. He was funny, and you know, even though we were working, we had a good time. You know, Dennis, and let me put this little part in there. Now Dennis was so crazy. At the time, this song was out. I don't know if it had been out or it was on the radio at the time, but anyway, Dennis had the clients who were mostly nonverbal. He had a few of them singing, "Who's the Man with the Master Plan? It's Jimmy." And it's Jimmy. And he said, and Dennis is like, hey, give me what you got for a pork chop. Sing it. Give me what you got for a pork chop. And the class, give me got pork chop. They're saying it as well as they can say it. So this is the guy I'm working with this particular day, right? So, like I said, love you, Dennis. I pray everything is well and with you. Okay, so me and Dennis working with the client and the clients rather, in the cluster, and he needed to do something. I don't know what he needed to do. I can't remember. I remember what I remember, right? So he said, "You gonna be okay? I need to do such and such a thing." I said, okay. He said, "I'm only gonna be gone like 5 minutes." I said, "All right." So so he went to go do what he needed to do. He asked, "Was I gonna be okay?" But before he left, he had a discussion with a particular client, and there is going to be a video of me telling y'all why he had to talk to this particular client. It was wild, but anyway. So Dennis is leaving, and since I'm there by myself, really you're not supposed to be left by yourself because it was supposed to be a certain amount of client to staff ratio, and I can't recall what they were, but I don't know because like the ladies in the I remember it was only 6 of them, and I don't know if it was 2 staff members because it was so much to do, because those ladies, I don't remember there being any ladies who were verbal, and it's like you know ladies, and you had to do everything for them. So most of them were, well, anyway, let me go on past that because I'll get to a story about that as well. So I think in my cluster that I worked in. I think it was 8 or 10. For some reason, I just cannot remember. But anyway, so he talked to that particular client and said what he needed to say to him, so I could be left there with him by myself. Okay, and so when Dennis left, in order for me to keep an eye on everything, I didn't just sit down. I was walking around the cluster to see what everybody was up to. When I got to the little short-haired client's room, he was laying in his bed, kicked back with his hands behind his head. But up under his bed was a full bag of garbage. Not the clear garbage bag. It might have, yeah, it was the clear garbage bag, but it was as big as like a leaf bag, right? So this client got all this trash up under his bed, and I'm like, hey, I said, why do you have that up under your bed? You need to get that from up under your bed. And he went, ugh. He's nonverbal, right? And that was the way he expressed himself, to let you know he wasn't pleased with what it was that you were saying to him or asking him, right? So I said, you need to get that from up under your bed now. Put it where it's supposed to be, in the big garbage. He was one of the ones that could clean up behind himself, even though he was not verbal. He understood commands and cues and stuff like that, so he could clean up behind himself. So he got out of the bed mad, sitting on the edge of the bed with his hands on his knees, like, I can't believe this heifer. Who she thinks she talking to? So that was my interpretation of what his gestures were. So he got the bag of garbage from up under his bed. After he got the bag of garbage from up under his bed, he had to pass me because I was in the hallway area where he had to go to the big garbage can. And so he cut his eyes at me, and I kind of looked, he kind of looked at me, and then I'm looking at him, and before I knew it, he had jumped me. And when I say he jumped me, and we are trained in what we need to do in order to restrain clients and everything. Baby, all that went out the window. All that went out the window. All I knew was this man had me. This little man had me, and I had to get him off of me. So I got, and I don't know if y'all know it or not, but mental health people with mental health issues are strong. They are strong. So he might have been a little hairy man, but he was strong, and we was tussling. So while I'm trying my best to get him off of me, I don't know how I ended up like this situation, but what I ended up with was I had straddled his body. I was sitting across his chest and had his hands over his head, and I'm screaming, help, help, help. And I'm just screaming, help. And then the next thing I know, Dennis walks through the door and he looks down at me. I said, Dennis, help me. Dennis' personality, he was like, look like you're doing all right to me, and just was like, I mean, he just killed himself. I was like, will you please help me? So he talked to this particular client and told him, he said, don't you move. He said, don't you move. You stay right there. Don't you move. And so I got up off of him. And he said, now, what did she tell you to do? What she tell? And because I explained to him how we ended up in that situation. And he was like, well, what did she tell you to do? And the client looked at him and held his head down. And he said, you go do what she said do. And so I looked at myself. I don't know how it happened. I don't remember it happened, but I was naked down the side of me. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I had on because I remember what I had on. It was fashionable to have a long t-shirt. They call it like a tunic now, but it was a t-shirt like almost to your knees and leggings, footies and sneakers. That's what I had on. Baby, from my up under my arm, the sleeve was tore all the way down to my waist. That t-shirt was tore up. I said, I'm naked. I said, he had tore my clothes off of me. I'm naked. And Dennis like, you ain't naked. I said, Dennis, I got to go get some clothes. He said, go over there to the women's cluster and get some right quick. I was like, no, I'm finna go get something. I'm finna go buy something up the street. And he was like, all right. So I went and talked to Kelvin. His name was Kelvin Barnes. That was the one that was over our particular cottage. So I told Kelvin, I said, Kelvin, like, what is wrong? What happened to you? And I had to tell him what happened. And then he starts niggling and giggling. And I'm looking at him. I said, I need to go get some clothes to put on. He said, so what? He said, what you want me to go in there and watch the clients for you? I said, could you please? Could you please? And he was like, yeah. He said, well, I go in there and watch them. He said, but he said, all right, go on and take care of your business. So I went on and took care of my business. Then when I came back, this particular client threw the eyes on me. Like I said, I don't know if y'all have seen that video, but he had the longest, prettiest eyelashes. He had the thickest head of hair. He stood pigeon-toed and he looking down and he threw the eyes at me. And he did this. I said, what that mean? And Dennis started laughing. He said, he trying to say he's sorry. And I looked at him. I looked at Dennis and I looked at him. And he did like this. And I said, He said, he trying to give you a hug. I said, is it okay for me to hug him? He's like, yeah, it's okay for you to hug him if you want to. So I was like, okay. So I hugged him and then he had a habit of, after he hugged you, he pat you on the shoulder like there. It's okay. So that was my adventure. It might have been my first week at the Allen Center. That was my adventure at the Allen Center. My adventures with that particular client. I'm happy to say that after I had those two incidents with that particular client, he was a good guy. I didn't have any more incidents with him. I pray that everything is well with him and the other clients. It's been so long. That was probably 90. That was 93, and a lot of them were older than us as staff. They were older. Some of them were older, and I pray that all is well with them. I just thank God. I don't know why I was selected to do everything but dig a ditch. I've worked and I always gave my 100% with. I ain't gonna say 100%, but most of my jobs I gave my all to, and that was one that was something else. It's so many stories. Y'all will hear them. Give God the glory in all that you do in his way and in his word. Y'all be blessed in this coming new year. I don't know what happened to 2004. It was on nitrogen and it just poof. It just went. And all I need to say and all I'm going to say about that is I pray we all be ready when Jesus comes. Y'all be blessed. Bye.